This is Rob and Mike Barnes, and we're here today to discuss on the Insider the impact of COVID on pickleball.
Yeah, and today what we're going to talk about is purely the impact that the COVID pandemic is having on pickleball. Not necessarily about what should be going on, what we should be doing. It's purely about what has happened with pickleball due to COVID and where we see the future with pickleball and the current pandemic and vaccine as well.
Yeah, and it's been really interesting. We've been through the whole thing. We saw it from the beginning, like most of you, especially if you owned a business. When everything first happened, pickleball was one of the ones as well that it took a dive. Everyone stopped playing, everyone stayed home. Most facilities shut down. Most courts were locked up by the government if they were on government property. So we saw a huge dive in participation for a short term just due to the lockdowns. But what was interesting is once they opened back up, we saw just a ton of new entrances.
Yeah, a lot of new entrances. Nets sold out across the industry. If you wanted to buy a temporary net, you couldn't do it because everybody was buying them to put them in their front yard and their driveway on the street so that they can start playing pickleball. So we saw a few months after the start of the pandemic, a huge surge in participation among new entrants. And largely due to the fact that pickleball is a great natural social distancing sport, right? You tend to be 6 feet apart. You're not as close or making as much contact as a lot of other sports like basketball and such. So it really took off with people. And even if you're not playing with other people, it's a great sport with your family. So if you want to go out, play a game of fours with your family or singles, it's a really easy sport to do that with. And in fact, the New York Times posted an article about how pickleball is the perfect sport for a pandemic.
Yeah, just with its natural social distancing. And most of the time too, unless you're in northern states, you're playing outdoors. So you're kind of outdoors, which is better, obviously. So yeah, it was really interesting. Obviously, a lot of these people weren't buying premium products per se, but they were buying a lot of entry-level products, like at Costco. On Costco.com, we have our Latitude sold really well, and it was really interesting to see that shift of people just wanting to get their families in, right? Because you're locked down and you want to do something healthy and be active, and it was kind of the perfect thing to get your family together, buy a net, buy 4 paddles or a couple paddles, and go out there and play this awesome sport. And so what's going to be interesting with that, and what we're predicting is, so we had all these new entrances, and a lot of this we don't necessarily have data, but we just saw it practically happen. And so what is the impact on the sport from a high overview standpoint in the future? The next 6 months are still going to be interesting, but what is that going to look like in transition to when it comes to tournaments?
Right.
When it comes to clinics, like Tyson's clinics or Level Up clinics, how is that going to translate when there's a vaccine and these people want to go do things again?
Right, yes, because right now we see a big surge with new entrants, but the core pickleball player community hasn't really seen the same surge yet, but we think we will see a surge as these new entrants get more into the sport. They want to start learning more by going to clinics. They want to start participating in tournaments. So right now the tournament scene, there aren't as many tournaments. The few that are out there are seeing fairly good participation since they have less competition with other tournaments. But we think in 2021, as the vaccine comes out and people start getting more comfortable and things start improving, as we all surely hope it does, we think there will be a surge with the core community as people want to get back out doing things. They want to travel to other tournaments. Even just now, the travel community is seeing tremendous bookings for this summer and the future of 2021. People are wanting to get back out and doing things. And so we think that'll be great for the pickleball scene, especially on the tournament pro level.
Yeah, so even though this has been horrible and we've seen an impact to the sport, we've seen clinics close, we've seen tournaments get canceled. So it has not been fun in any shape or form for anybody, but our end conclusion is based off of what we're seeing is we think it's in the long run, in about a year's time, it's going to end up being a positive impact on the sport because we had so many new entrances alongside with things like NBA, them playing in the NBA bubble during COVID, and then also people like Brett Favre and Jerry Rice doing a Coppersmith or what was it, Copperfit commercial, promoting Copperfit, but they're playing pickleball, right? So between all those things, we think the future for pickleball is pretty bright.
Yeah, it's interesting. Pickleball is an awesome sport for anybody, as you all know, whether it's in the senior communities or younger communities. It's also great for current athletes. So we see the NBA bubble, NBA athletes starting to play. And for a while now, it's actually been really big in the golf community. It used to be that pro golfers kind of had played a lot of ping pong with each other on the tour, but a lot of them we hear and know are switching to playing pickleball on the tour, which is really exciting to see. So we think pickleball has a lot of great traction, and the future definitely is looking up.
Yeah. So I guess the end conclusion is pickleball is a tidal wave that is not going to stop.
Definitely.
So you're on the right tidal wave.